everyone. So now we're going to take a minute to stop and think about all of this assessment data that we've been talking about collecting and figuring out how can we find a structure for assessment to fit all of this in. So the structure I'm going to talk to you about today is the workshop model. So in my workshop, I always begin with an opening link. So this is where I connect the daily learning target the students are working on today with their prior knowledge. So what it is that they've already worked on the day before and how they're building upon one another. So some student-created assessment data I have in this moment is just simply conversation. So whether or not the students can identify what it is we did the day before, making sure that they're keeping that information in their brain to build upon with what I'm going to give them today. Once the opening link is complete, we move into the mini lesson. So in the mini lesson, I'm really showing how. So whether I'm modeling for students what it is I want them to practice, or we're looking at strong examples of student work or maybe some weak examples of work, I'm really helping the students build a vision of what they will need to practice during the work time. So during the mini lesson, I have built-in opportunities for assessment. So students can create assessment data by watching and sharing what they notice. So I'll have them watch what I'm doing, and then I'll have them turn and talk with their partner and share what it is that they notice. And then we'll take an opportunity to share those out with the whole group. I'll also sometimes have students try the strategy. So whether it's them bringing a self-selected text to the carpet or me having a text determined for them, I'll have them try the strategy that I just modeled and walk around and give feedback in that moment and notice where students are at and who's ready to move on and who might still need some more time for practice. So while they're either discussing what they notice or practicing a strategy, I'm really just doing a lot of listening and watching. So at this time, I'll determine if the whole group, for the most part, gets it. If not, I'll go back and reteach in that moment during the mini lesson what it is I want them to do. If I see just a small group of students who maybe are still confused, I might decide to send the rest of the workers off to begin work time and then just practice the skill again with them, whether it's modeling it again or giving them some more guided practice. And if I see just one or two students, I might choose to go ahead and just meet with them right away in conferencing, and then that way everyone else can get started on their work. So once the mini lesson is over, we move into the work time part of the workshop. So this is where students create work or assessment data that shows progress towards meeting their learning targets. So in my class, my students do all kinds of different types of work, whether in reading, if they're using their thinking tracks as a place to annotate as they read, sometimes post-it notes, if I need them to mark certain areas of the text where certain thinking has occurred. We use graphic organizers a lot in second grade, just as another way for them to get their thinking out visually onto the paper in some way. With my higher groups, I sometimes use written responses that will give them the opportunity to take their thinking a little deeper and a little farther during the workshop time. And then something that I started using this year that I really have enjoyed is Seesaw, which is an online learning journal. And this is an opportunity for students to not only document what it is they're doing through pictures, talking about what they've learned, taking a video, but the thing that I love most about it is they actually also can comment on each other or give each other feedback, or the most amazing part of it is that the parents can have an opportunity to see into the classroom and see what it is that students are working on, and it gives them a lot of conversation starters when they get home to see, what's happening in the classroom. As a teacher, I love Seesaw because I can take that snapshot of what it is that they were doing in that moment, and I can watch it later and then use that data to build my conference or my small group plan to give students feedback if I wasn't able to meet with them that day during that class period. So some teacher-created assessment data at this time. Well, I'm sorry, let me back up. During this time, as students are working, I am really walking around and either having small group conversations or conferences with students, and just really talking about clarifying the learning target for those that might still be confused, giving focused personal instruction. If a student needs to work on something else, or I've noticed in their writing or in their reading another topic that I want to discuss and work on with them. Sometimes I'll use this opportunity to share examples of strong or weak work so we can have one-on-one conversations about what it is that they're working on. I give a lot of descriptive feedback at this time, and sometimes I even work on helping students self-assess and set goals for their learning. So figuring out what that looks like for them individually versus the whole class. During this time, what I'm doing is I'm taking a lot of conference notes or using different type of group observation forms to really document the learning that's happening in the classroom. So after a few minutes into workshop, around not quite halfway, maybe a third of the way, I will do a mid-workshop teaching point. So this is oftentimes pre-planned, and it's a moment where I can stop everybody and re-engage them in their work in a variety of ways. So sometimes that's sharing examples of strong or weak work and identifying what makes that work strong or how it could be improved. Sometimes it's taking a piece of work from a student that I already met with that day and highlighting what it is that they're working on, whether they did a really nice job of using periods in their sentences, if that's what the skill we were working on in writing. I could then pull that up and show everyone, to take a look and notice how Susie put periods in all of her sentences. Sometimes, especially at the beginning of the year, and then also at different points throughout the year, I might use this opportunity as building endurance and reminding students of what they need to do during workshop to sustain workshop. So whether that's getting more supplies, or if they get stuck on an idea, how they can talk with their writing partner or reading partner instead of just sitting there and not doing anything, or other hurdles that might arise during work time. Sometimes I might also find that I have an unplanned moment during workshop based on something that I'm seeing that's maybe a misunderstanding or some smart thinking that happened during strategy groups or during conferences. So this part, unplanned moments in my workshop, allow me to reteach or refocus what students are doing based on the day's mini lesson. So if I notice that even though it seemed like they had it all together in that moment, now that they're working independently, I see that they don't, I might stop everybody and reteach that. I can also offer descriptive feedback to the whole group based on the patterns that I'm finding, and highlight a student who maybe had an excellent example of something that wasn't necessarily taught that in the mini lesson, but might be next steps for those who are ready. So I might say, if you're done trying this for the day, you might want to consider trying, and then share a different strategy and example of what that might look like. So once the mid-workshop teaching point is over, and it only lasts just a couple of quick minutes, I will release students back to work time where they're able to continue to make work, and also I'm able to continue having conferences and small groups if needed to monitor the progress towards their learning target for that day. So at the very end of workshop is this opportunity for share. We call it share time. And this is really the most vital part of the workshop because it really works on building a community of readers and writers. It should be the last thing we cut out when faced with time restraints that we always have, but oftentimes it's the first. So I really try my best to keep share time in some way. Sometimes it might be everyone coming to the carpet and choosing 3 students or to share out. Sometimes it might also look like having students share with their partner that day. So instead of having a whole group share, I might have them find something specific they want to share with their writing partner, and then their writing partner would then share something specific with them. But basically, this is just an opportunity to showcase what it is students are doing and really build that community of readers and that community of writers. So during this time, what I'm doing is I'm listening to students who are sharing and reiterating to the group, if we're in a group setting, the specific skill that their classmate worked on that day. So if someone's showing example of how they use speech bubbles for dialogue, then I would after the student shared, I would kind of lead a group conversation about why using dialogue could be an important detail that we add to our story. So just kind of giving a little bit more to their sample that they share. I'm also really thinking about next steps during this time and looking at what my students have done well and what that needs to tell me about my future instruction. So what do we have coming up in the next day or next couple of days that I need to focus on based on what I'm seeing from that workshop time? So this is the reading and writing workshop or math workshop, whatever content area you might teach model. And it really helps me a lot figure out how to fit in specific opportunities for assessment, feedback, and next step planning throughout my time. I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for listening.